Back to reality, Dajun tightly holds the knife with which the gangster wanted to cut him, not caring about the damage it causes, and without letting go, he pushes him against a fence that separates them from falling into the void. Hyungtae thinks that even though he looks like a nobody, Dajun has the eyes of a madman. When Dajun takes hold of his arm, he realizes that he's trying to use the same move with which Daeob threw him over the fence. He mockingly tells him that it won't work and tightens his grip on the knife. However, Dajun laughs that he believed that was his plan, and before the gangster can respond, he makes a big jump that throws both of them off the edge. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out at jail. A 7,820 who commented, "Name survive on a deserted island with beautiful girls. No need to thank me," on our desert island video. Thanks for commenting. They descend the precipice, hitting against the wall. Hyungtae lets go of the knife as he falls. Dajun lands a few steps away from the gangster and gets up first, so he seizes the opportunity to pick up a brick from the ground and hit him with it. But as he is about to do it, he notices that his enemy hit his head against a cement bollard when he fell, leaving him unconscious. This leaves him stunned for a few seconds before he raises his arms with pride and declares that he has won. With teary eyes, he thinks that he finally managed to win against a gangster he thought he could only defeat in his dreams, and he wonders if he has a natural talent for fighting, or if he can now take on anyone who messes with him. Although his inner monologue is interrupted when he notices that the knife Hyungtae was carrying stabbed into his abdomen during the fall. In pain, he falls to the ground, gradually losing consciousness, thinking that despite believing he got his revenge, his actions were all in vain. When Dajun opens his eyes again, he finds Daeob and the rest in front of him, in a hospital bed, covered in bandages. He starts recounting how after becoming unconscious, the fugitive family found him, and thanks to them, he was able to safely recover in the hospital. A doctor stated that the knife wound was shallow, and he actually passed out due to the impact of the fall. His head was spinning when he woke up, but the faces around him were familiar. However, there was no trace of Hyungtae when the group found him. At that moment, Daeob, the cheeky member of the gang, teased him, saying that he lost and shouldn't pretend otherwise. Dajun explained that despite his loss, the group agreed to fulfill the promise he made with the redhead. While Taek praised him for his brave jump to defend Hyungtae, Cho Hangil, the older member with a serious demeanor, arrived. He wasted no time and asked if Dajun was ready to learn how to fight, or if he was planning to chicken out. Determined not to back down, Dajun stated with newfound resolve that he wanted to start training immediately after getting discharged. As they left the hospital, Dajun recounted how the gang fulfilled, as a sign of gratitude, his second biggest wish after learning to fight. They had cooked up a feast on the rooftop of their makeshift home. Taek was at the grill, sizzling bacon, and he chuckled, telling Dajun that he could have asked for something much better than pork belly. Dajun laughed, replying that it was the best bacon he'd ever seen. While they ate, Daeob couldn't resist a comment, suggesting that if someone saw Dajun devouring the food like that, they would think they were starving him. Dajun playfully swatted at him, but the girl in the group wasn't having it. She scolded Daeob for being the one who came up with the idea to feed him only tuna, causing Dajun to burst into laughter. Daeob defended himself, saying it was something they all agreed on. The other two guys chimed in to comfort Dajun, telling him not to worry. He wiped a tear from his eye and admitted that he didn't expect life on the streets to be so tough. All he had wanted was a chance at a normal life. In response, Daeob's tone softened. He confessed that everyone in the group understood that feeling, knowing firsthand what it's like to go through tough times. Daeob leaned closer, adding that if Dajun wanted, he could continue living with them. They wouldn't treat him as a servant anymore. Dajun felt warmth spread through him, a genuine smile gracing his lips. He couldn't remember the last time he felt so accepted. Determined to enjoy the rest of the night, they continued their banter, wondering aloud where Hangul had disappeared to this time. Little did Dajun know, his life was about to take a new turn, one that brought him even closer to the gang. After the gas incident, everything changed. Dajun wasn't relegated to sleeping in the laundry room anymore. Now he shared the same mattress with the other guys, although it got a bit uncomfortable with everyone piled together. He also began speaking informally to them, as they felt more like friends than strangers. Household chores, though, were a different story. Dajun had assumed that they would be divided equally among the group, but it turned out that everyone's part-time jobs often got in the way. As a result, the bulk of the tasks fell on him and Hangul. Frustrated, Dajun brought this up with Hangul, only to be met with a surprising response. Hangul declared himself as the gang's leader, implying that he was exempt from chores. He argued that his responsibility was to teach Dajun how to fight. However, when Dayob got wind of this arrangement, he didn't hold back. He kicked Dajun out of the house, stating that if he wanted to live as their equal, he needed to contribute like everyone else. They would only teach him to fight once he had earned his keep. With a heavy heart, Dajun accepted this verdict. So, Dajun embarked on the journey of finding a job. Hajung, one of the kinder members, bid him farewell with well wishes, promising to hold down the fort and keep the place clean. And as Dajun set out to prove his worth, Dajun scored a job at a pizzeria on the edge of the neighborhood. He's only been there 2 days, but he's already thinking about quitting. The customers are super mean and shout when he doesn't get their orders right. The owner is no better. He's told Dajun to stop being so useless, and even asked him to work on the weekend, even though he never explained the job properly. Feeling like he should find another job, he pretends he needs to use the bathroom. Just as he's about to leave, he bumps into a gorgeous girl. She calls the owner her dad and asks about Dajun. The girl, Nayun, says he's the new guy and needs to be trained because they're really busy. Dajun turns all red because of this girl. He admits that the job is still tough and that girls have never really been interested in him. But then, Nayun looks at him all serious and calls him cute. This surprises him and makes him think he might give the job another chance. What he doesn't know is that this meeting is going to change his life in a big way. Meanwhile, in a narrow alley, Cho Hangul is surrounded by knocked-out gang members. One of them begs for mercy, while Hangul steps on his face. Without any kindness, Hangul tells the guy to talk to someone and bring him the person who gassed them all. If he doesn't, Hangul threatens to find and finish him off. At Pizzeria Papa, Dajun watches Nayun in awe. She's amazing at tossing pizza dough in the air and catching it. She even helps him open a tough jar of pickles without making fun of him. When she accidentally breaks a plate, she cleans it up and checks if he's okay. She promises not to tell her dad about the broken plate to keep him out of trouble. In his head, Dajun thinks of her as an angel. He's grateful to Take for talking to the owner and getting him this job. He even dreams of staying there for his whole life. Once, in a regular day at the pizzeria, Nayun Dajun was doing her job when something unexpected happened. A customer, who seemed to be in a bad mood, started yelling at her when she politely asked him not to smoke inside. To everyone's shock, he not only yelled, but also accidentally spilled his drink all over Nayun. The anger inside her began to boil, and she felt the urge to teach the rude customer a lesson. But just as she was about to step forward, the owner of the pizzeria intervened, holding her back. He assured her that his daughter was all right and took matters into his own hands. The boss walked over to the irate customer and offered his sincere apologies for Nayun's actions, blaming it on her being new to the job. He even offered to refill the man's drink as a way to make amends. To the surprise of everyone, the customer, though still looking offended, decided to leave without causing more trouble. This reaction left Dajun baffled. Why would the boss let the customer off the hook so easily? What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.